Well, firstly, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice one, Kate.
We were talking about the fact that money rewards action takers, and I think that's something that you've been nailing recently. Property purchase, just locked down. Mm-hmm. Well done.
How'd you find the process?
The process of the property or the general process?
Property.
The property. Oh, well, very easy, very, effortless really. So, and super quick. I'm sure that behind the scenes, he was doing lots and lots of, hours and hours of work and to make it look like it was, all a very easy process. But yeah, he picked out some 3 really good properties and one of which was outstanding. So we went ahead and went forward and purchased that. So had a great relationship with the agent, so that helped. And all happened like very fast, but I'm very confident with the decision.
And just for anyone that's listening, scratching their head, because obviously, you hear so much talk about how hard it is to buy a property. I suppose this is the power of having good people in your corner, because you had a buyer's agent,
yes,
you had an advisor running the numbers behind the scenes, the mortgage broker,
yes,
all working together. So I'd say that that's probably a reasonable contributor.
Definitely, and felt very secure in the decision. Originally my budget was, that 650 mark. It ended up going a bit over that. So before kind of committing, spoke to Sal, spoke to the broker, obviously the buyer's agent was all across it. So made sure that everyone was signing off on the, slight change of strategy and a little bit more, spend that I had to commit to, but I think it was a really good decision. So I felt confident in that decision when we had to make it very quickly on Friday.
Mm-hmm. And because a lot of people sort of get stuck when it comes to things like that, where you've got a number in mind, which people commonly do when it comes to buying a property, but then you start looking and the market is always a little bit different to the numbers that you had in mind. And so, what was the difference in terms of your thought process in trying to figure that out with the people that you had around you?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have even known where to kind of start if I was doing it on my own, to be honest, because obviously the whole approach that Sal's taken, Sal being my advisor at Pivot Wealth, has been, very an approach that's not just on property, but a whole managed approach across a number of areas. So having that broad kind of strategy to know what amount I was going to put into property versus, bonds and, other investment strategies as well. So I wouldn't have known. I would have probably, if I was doing it on my own, put everything into the property and not really known what I was looking for, or what kind of rental yield, or what strategy to go with. So really would have been a stab in the dark. I could have maybe got it right, but it wouldn't have been a confident decision.
Can I rewind back a little bit? So you've been working with us close to a year now. Mm-hmm. What was Kate McNabb like 12 months ago?
Oh, God. Yeah. I was very good at making money, but not very good at keeping it, and certainly did not have any kind of plan of action. And so I felt very kind of anxious about the future, not knowing, how to really build wealth and what my retirement would look like. And really was just, running around making money and doing very good at that. That wasn't an issue, but retaining it and knowing where to invest and where to put it, and, having a strategy long-term and short-term to really put me on track, and make me feel more, at ease and confident in my decisions. I didn't have any of that, so was desperately in need of it.
Well, you've mentioned a couple of things there already, but what do you think, what were the biggest challenges for you at that time?
Well, I had a lot of debt. So I'd, about 10 years ago, separated from my husband and had a lot of, had 3 young children and, got myself into a little bit of a debt cycle that was very hard to get out of. And also with 3, young children, it's very expensive, and, having a pretty high standard of living as well. So those kind of contributed to me kind of really going backwards and just really constantly chasing my tail, a very, very feeling of being pretty anxious in that situation. So I knew I had to take control, of my situation and that I needed assistance. So then I kind of looked, looked around to find out who would be best positioned for that, and seeing you guys having won loads of awards, and then following. I think I've followed you for about a year, watching all your podcasts and feeling pretty motivated, and you made it sound so kind of simple and easy and to understand. So. That helped me to make the decision, basically. Yeah.
Awesome. And so a really common challenge is I find that a lot of people making good money, but maybe not keeping as much of it as they want. Everyone sort of knows that you need to be doing some sort of investing or saving to get ahead. What do you think, what was stopping you? What was the biggest thing that was stopping you from, doing some sort of investing or saving or whatever?
Well, I really needed to get rid of all the credit card debt and, that side of my life, which, fortunately I'd had a little bit of, I was doing well with work. That combined with, bonuses combined with work, combined with a small amount of, money I was inherited from my mum passing last year, really helped me to, start the process with yourselves, guns blazing, really. So to be able to wipe out all of that debt. I was a bit nervous about wiping out my car loan. I always thought that was a good debt. But, when Sal showed me the graph, well, if you want to keep your car, this is what it looks like, later on in your life, feeling, okay, all right, I'll keep the car, but get rid of the loan. Everything made much more sense. So, yeah.
And what was the catalyst? What really prompted you to do something about it?
Feeling completely out of control, really, and not having any kind of, really needing something to kind of work towards, and knowing there was a plan in place. Kind of like the way I see you guys as being more like a personal trainer, but for your finances. So,
100%.
I'm a very hardworking, motivated person, but I'm not particularly disciplined unless I have a plan of action and I have someone making me accountable. So for me, it was exactly the same as having a personal trainer. Exactly the same as going to get checked up with a doctor. It's a doctor for your finances.
Come on, it's not quite the same as getting checked up with a doctor.
Sal does tell me off sometimes. No, not really. I have actually given him permission to be very firm as required if I'm pushing the boundaries too much. He does get me on track, and I'm like, why? But why can't I just keep the the car loan, or surely my Amex charge card, it's okay. Well, he's let me keep that for now, but on very strict conditions. I work for American Express, so I don't think I'll be allowed to get rid of that. But anyway, so no, yeah. I've forgotten what you asked me now.
What was the catalyst?
Oh, the catalyst, yeah. Well, it was just that feeling of making all this money and then it all going out and actually not having anything to show for it, right? And not knowing where to begin. It was that feeling of drowning, really, is the best way I can explain it. And just, not having that plan of attack or knowing what to do and what my life is going to look like in, 10, 20 years. I had no idea. So putting these plans in place and, sharing with Sal what I wanted my life to look like, and then whether that was realistic based on what I was earning, etc., it really helped give me confidence and motivate me even more at work. So
I think it's really common, and especially as you sort of mature in your career and you start, a year passes and another year passes, and you sort of go through 20s, enjoy yourself, 30s, you go like I've got lots of time, but then you start looking at the time and going, well, I've done all of this work now, I've earned all of this money, and then you're going, is it going to be enough? Is what I've got here enough to make sure that I don't have to work this hard forever, or at least don't have to work that hard if I don't want to be?
Yes.
Like most of the people we work with, that they love their work, like putting in the hours and being productive and all of those sorts of things. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you've got something to show for it, and that you're you're actually profiting from the effort that's being put in.
Yeah, and it's easy just to fritter the money away. Like, you haven't got a plan of attack. You just, what's there, you spend. I think there's a law.
Parkinson's law.
That's
Parkinson's
right.
law.
Yeah. Some kind of a law. And that was definitely me. Like, I haven't got that much self-control. So, it was there, I'd buy it. And because no one's holding me accountable and I've got no plan, so who cares? It's just that whole, there was no structure for me before. So now, even the other week when someone crashed into my car, I was like, oh no, that means I might have to get another car, it might be written off, and what's Sal going to say? He was actually one of the first people I thought of, he's going to tell me off, and I was so relieved, it wasn't written off, and it was just repaired by the insurer. It was all good, but that was pretty weird that I actually thought of Sal within an hour of being in a car accident.
You truly are accountable to Sal.
Yes, yeah, I know, yeah. And I think even the other week he was like, well, we're coming up to our year now, and I said, yeah, well, I can't go. You can't let me go yet. I feel like I'm just a baby getting started. And he looked at me like I was a little nuts. But I felt like so safe. I know that sounds very strange, but I felt kind of like safe having that support and being watched every few months or being checked in on. Says.
It's like you got the guardrails in place, and it's not to stop you from, you can still do whatever it is that you want to do. Like if you've got a PT, and I've been working with a PT for a few years, and it's like I could still not exercise and eat really unhealthily, but I know that at some point I'm going to have to, get on the scales and go to the gym, and then it's like, I'm going to get in trouble. It's like that thought, it sort of shifts your behavior a little bit, even when it's not there. And that's Parkinson's law is that the most effective dieting strategy is to use smaller dinner plates, and that's because we tend to consume what we've got available. It's why if you've got a month to do a project, the project takes a month. When you go back to uni days, you've got X amount of time to do your assignment, and most people do most of the work at the back end because you know that you've got it there. It's like if you just put the guardrails a little bit closer, you work within those guardrails, and then you benefit from it. And even if you go a tiny bit over, you're still going to be way better off than if you just have complete free reign all of the time. So it's an interesting.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I've also got ADHD, so it makes it even. My impulse control is even lower, and that whole kind of being structured often is lacking. It's been a great process. It's made me. Even my family back home, they're like kind of so happy that I've actually sought this advice because they know I can be, a little frivolous at times otherwise. So, yeah.
Interesting.
And what's the impact it's been? So you obviously mentioned this time last year you felt a little bit overwhelmed. Obviously there was a few things happening, but how's it been for you? Your attitude towards money and perhaps your mental space when it comes to money? Yeah,
well, I'm not worrying about it so much because I have no debt, which is a very amazing feeling. And I've, just bought my first, not my first investment property, but the only investment property I have currently. I've had many in the past, but nothing for over 10 years. So, having that in place and obviously, having invested in a share portfolio as well, just having all of those different areas in my life in place now where I can see, growth happening and starting to build wealth for the long term instead of,
And what would you say about that? You talked about that feeling of feeling like you're in control or safe, I think is how you mentioned it. When you think about how you're working with your own planning, and obviously you're doing that work with us, but the check-ins and keeping your focus on this, how you're making your decisions, what you're actually doing, how are you feeling about that now compared to how you were before you went down this path?
How am I feeling? Does it feel good to have the check-ins? Is that what you're asking me? Or
you're more asking about your approach to how you're managing your money and then planning with your money, because you're talking about the investing is good, buying the property is great, but then it sounds like you're getting a lot from knowing that you've got the structures in place around the check-ins as well.
Yes, the check-ins are good because it's then like, oh my goodness, have I done all the action items from last time? Everything was pretty straightforward, to be honest. The adjustment from setting up different bank accounts to automatically go in, I mean, it's just a little bit to get my head around, but I'm pretty much there now. It was a little bit of work at the start to get everything in place, but having those check-ins are really essential for me. I mean, I know other people that have attained financial advice, and they're certainly not getting checked in as much as you guys check in. So that's more like a one-off consult, or maybe one or two times. And so the way, from what I can see, you guys manage the whole process is a very different approach to a standard financial advisor. So, which is better for me because I need those check-ins. Otherwise, goodness knows,
Yeah,
Cartier's only outside, so no, I'm not into design stuff. I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
I was going to say, because a lot of advice...
Sal's not listening. It's okay.
We won't tell him. This comes out in a week's time,
Exactly.
so he'll find out afterwards. But there's a lot of advisors that they do great plans, but the reason that we check in on the plans more is because we know that for a lot of people, like, you've got a great plan, but it's the results come from the actual work, and there is a very small portion of the population that can just have the plan and then crack on and get all of the results at the same level completely on their own. But we find for a lot of the people we work with that they end up getting better results and actually leveling up when they're more focused on this stuff moving forward. And so how much of a difference do you think that that's made for you?
Oh, huge. It's been quite life-changing. Like, this whole year's been an amazing kind of journey, really, with you guys. So, it's been huge, and I definitely want to continue it. I remember at the start, I was like, I'll just use it for a year and then, I'll be fine. But I actually don't think I'll be so good if I didn't have the check-in. So, I like to continue with your services on certainly for foreseeable future, because the gains have already been, dramatic. So, and even with like my superannuation strategy, I had no idea I think most people have no idea about their super. I just went with the work 100%. Super. And so now I have a mix of my work one and another one. And again, I would never have known, there's no way I would have known what to do there. And certainly I would have felt that the advice, if I was asking a superannuation company anyway, wasn't impartial. So at least with you guys, I know that it's impartial advice and I can trust that. So again, it's that impartial advice part that's...
And it's also that there's like different stages that people go through with your money. And I'm sure you guys have spoken a little bit about that it's like you want to... It's like everyone wants to get to where you're completely financially free and you've got enough money that you can basically do whatever you want, but no one really starts there. You start putting the building blocks in place and then you build a bit of momentum and then it goes to the next stage and the next stage. So it's great that everything's working, but it's like once you complete the stage that you're in, then there's another set of things to unlock. Do we look at tax structures or slightly different investment strategies or more around focusing on getting your investments generating income rather than just generating you growth or whatever as well. And so it's like, I think a lot of people think that, I just need to sort out my savings for now, maybe do some investing, or maybe I need to buy a property, but don't always realize that once that part is done, that there's still another whole set of things to do. Because if you think about getting to fully financially free, it's like you're going to have all these different things in place, but a lot of people don't realize that before we jump in. And I think a lot of people, before they get financial advice, they don't really know how it's going to work or what to expect. For you, what surprised you the most about the process?
How easy how many areas of my life I needed, financial life, how many areas that I could attain support with, really. So, like I was saying, superannuation, the whole investment piece not being just one size fits all, the whole, the different options available to me and that broad strategy, really. And how easy it was really to follow, and that, I thought, at first, I earn good money, but it was like, maybe it's, hopefully I earn enough to be able to get something out of this process, and obviously I have. So, you don't have to be a multimillionaire to have a, financial advisor and get benefit from it. So, so it was a really simple process, really, and very easy. Look, a little bit of work to unpack and to organise everything, because everything was in such a mess and I had so many different credit cards and, different things I was doing. And so to clean it up, it does require a little bit of commitment, obviously, from someone like myself to actually make sure I'm following through with the action plan and everything. But once it's in place, it feels, so much, so good,
It's just like the personal trainer. It's like they don't do the push-ups for you.
Yeah, that's right.
I wish we could. But
of course. Oh, you did a lot of it for me. I'm not complaining. Yeah, you had a whole team of people helping. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's the power of a good money dream team.
Yeah.
And so for anyone that's thinking about getting advice and sort of sitting on the fence, what would your advice to them be?
Well, you've got to spend money to make money, basically, and it's worth spending money on your finances to help you have a strategy in place and to make sure that you're actually, that you're on the right track in life and that you're able to kick your goals and have that, retirement that you're looking for or the life that you're looking for. When you're looking for it, So I think you'd be a pretty lucky person to be able to do it on your own. You do need professionals to help you, I think, in every area of your life. If you're not an expert at it, why would you try and do it yourself?
And I think that there's also an argument that if you're the sort of person that you might be able to get pretty far on your own, it's like if you've got the right support that they probably can take that to the next level.
Yeah, that's right.
As well, even though it's like a pretty small subset of the population, but like it's just based on where you're at, what you can do to move forward as well.
Yeah.
And so for the big question, I think for anyone that's on the fence, and you sort of touched on this a little bit already, but around what makes the fees worth paying. From your side, like, well, what gives the most value for you?
Well, firstly, it was great that I could pay monthly. I know a lot of advisors ask for an upfront fee, so that whole monthly piece, I think you're still doing that. I hope I haven't said the wrong thing there. You're still doing that for me. Anyway, that monthly piece was great because I think most people don't realise that that's obviously something that you do, offer. And the fact that I believe it is tax deductible because it's ongoing financial advice.
You said that?
I said that. I've checked with my accountant. He said as long as it's ongoing. My accountant's words was as long as it's ongoing, Kate, and if you don't have an investment property this time next year, you're in big trouble with me. So I'm in the good books, so I can't wait to tell him. Almost straight tomorrow Friday, actually, but I haven't yet. So look, that tax deductible piece, which I checked with my accountant, and the fact that I could pay monthly, enabled me to manage that expense more easily. And look, to be honest, seeing the gains within a few months, even from the changes I made to my super, and the other, investment piece, it was dramatic. So, it will pay off very, very quickly. Well, it did for me. So, but I was in a very bad place before. But it's amazing how you've helped me to turn everything around and make me feel a lot more confident about my financial future.
Well, look, I think a lot of people, it's really common that they're doing really well in some areas and not as well in others as well. Like some people are really good with their spending and saving, but they're less good with their tax planning, or they're not as good with their property strategy or whatever. And so I think people tend to, or especially high achievers, like we're working with a lot of, sort of go-getter type people, and it's like it's natural tendency that it's not like you go, well, I'm crushing it here, I'm crushing it here. You go, well, I'm struggling here and here. And I think that sometimes that can be a real barrier for people to focus on their money, not just get help, but sometimes get help as well, that they think, I have to sort this thing out first, or, make this better. But oftentimes, like, it can be really hard to do it on your own, or take a really long time, or both, where it's like, it's just natural. Like, everyone's just got their own natural strengths. You got to, celebrate those and, do a bit more of it, but then just make sure that you're addressing the issues so that they don't hold you back, because it doesn't matter like how good you're doing in a couple of areas. If you've got a couple of areas that are holding you back, you're never going to make that progress as well.
And most people I speak with, they have no idea about, like you say, they've no idea about the superannuation, or no idea about, what strategy to take, or they think it's best that they, buy a home and they live in it, and, what do you mean? Investment property instead, and renting my own place where I live? Or that sounds like a wacky idea, but, all of those things, they're just doing what they've been maybe told by their parents, or what they believe is the right thing to do, but it might not necessarily be the smartest thing to do, So for me, it was, I was just open to understanding how better I could be running my money. I was educated, and once I was explained and shown the graphs of, well, you can take that route, but this is what your retirement looks like if you do. So which route do you want to take? No one forced me to take any route. I chose it based on, the different options that Sal showed me, based on different decisions I could make. So it was very much, I didn't feel pressured to make any particular choice. It was based on what my goals were long term, and then what I was earning and what I could put away, how that would fit in And so, yeah, it was all kind of adjusted accordingly to what was realistic and what I wanted.
Did you come in with a little bit of a fixed idea around what you thought you might like to do?
Yeah. I wasn't too outlandish. I wanted to go a bit crazier, actually. I said, well, hold on. How big can I dream here? They said, well, whatever. But, yeah, I might revise it next time.
That's what year two is for.
That's right. I'm thinking maybe I can go a bit better this time.
I'm excited for you for year two. If you think about your baseline 12 months ago,
yes.
plus you put this strategy into place, you've gone harder than you thought you were going to go.
Yeah.
You're going to blow yourself out of the water.
I am. And I've been spreading the word about all your services to lots of people. So I'm sure you'll have lots of my friends at your door soon.
That's great. Look, it's been awesome to see that you've got some quick results, and it doesn't always happen like that, but a lot of times it does, where you've got some investment growth and some upside on that. You obviously bought a property as well, and I think a lot of people, when they're thinking about getting financial advice, they focus on those like pure sort of like quantifiable return on investment type activities. But putting all of that stuff aside, what have been the benefits to you, the non-money benefits of engaging in this process?
The non-money benefits.
Don't say Sal's awesome joke.
Things like more along the lines of like how it's made you feel, or
yeah, well, that's right. So it's obviously you've got the Pivot Wealth app that I need to get better at navigating through, but I've only just, got my head around all that. But that's really great. But the non-tangible, obviously the fact that I can call Sal, I don't call him all the time. I had to call him on Friday for urgent advice, but I can just obviously reach out via email or give him a quick call if there is something that's come up I need advice on. But other than that, those regular check-ins, and the fact that I know that he's covered everything off, basically everything financially in my life is being looked after, and someone's put a magnifying glass on, and so that makes me feel confident, so for the future. And
Slightly random one, but I was just going to say, how would you describe Sal to your friends?
He's a diligent, honest, conservative, a little nervous sometimes and overwhelmed by me, but he's a really good person, and he's very, very intelligent. You can see that, and knows how to very gently put the brakes on without offending.
I'm sure he's going to love that you said that.
And he does like to have a bit of a laugh. I do get him having a giggle from time to time.
it's not too straight.
No, not at all.
Look, it's been great to sort of get into your journey. My last question for you is, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self and give, Junior Burger Kate one piece of money advice, what would it be?
Don't spend as much. Don't party so hard. Don't spend as much. Obviously, an 18-year-old self. Wow, there's so much I would say to
21,
that. But even my 30-year-old self, I would just, you're only as rich as what you're saving. Like, you can earn a lot of money, but if you're spending it all, you're as poor as the next person that's earning, hardly any money. So really, I wish I had. My only regret, really, I said that pretty quickly after meeting Sal and the team, but was that I should have done this, 10 years ago. That would have really put me on track, but I don't live with regrets. But obviously, the earlier you can put something in place, plan in place financially, the better. I'm even talking to my son about doing that very same thing, and he's only 21. So he's looking at me a little bit blankly when I'm telling him these things, but at least I'm able to kind of educate him, start that ball rolling and, get him thinking in that way. Because, the longer you leave it, the harder it is. And I do wish I'd made a decision to take control of my finances a little earlier. Maybe it wasn't going to be couldn't have been as easy as it is now because of my situation. But, certainly we can all do better.
I think that
money.
the best time to start is always 10 years ago, but the
Yeah.
second best time is right now. And a lot of people that they think that and then sort of feel bad and then still don't do anything. And then it's like, it's easy for another 10 years to go past, and then you just got to push harder and play more catch up. So it's great to see, you know, the foundation that you've built, the quick results that you've got in the last little while. Kate, really appreciate you sharing your story.
No
Thank you,
worries.
Kate.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.